welcome back to another stream. Some things different, some things the same. I didn't make any real progress since the last session painting-wise, so basically picking up right where we left off with the blood ravens. We left their their chain swords to dry with the blood of their enemies on them, and their shoulder pads with the vague shape of birds for me to hopefully trace over with black paint later. So we'll be picking up with that. Different. I had previously tested having some, general vibey stream music playing in the background, and it seemed to work. So I'm trying to do it again. However, the way that I have it set up is that it should only play on stream and not for me. So I can't hear it, meaning I don't know if it's too quiet or too loud, and I won't find out until the end of the stream when I go to look at the recording. So that'll be an adventure. But yeah, it was just a crazy busy week, and so didn't really get to do much painting. Last night I managed to pull out some of the space marines that are still left, that hadn't been primed, and I did do that. So I finished all of the Infernus Marines. They're all primed and ready to paint now. So if things go crazy well right now with the Blood Ravens, can dive into those. But I didn't get through all of them. I thought I was going to, and everything still ended up happening really late, and I had to call it eventually. So there's still a handful of Terminators that need to be primed. Let's see, what is it? Actually, it's just Terminators at this point. There's a 5-man Terminator squad, a Librarian. Oh, not quite. So there's the Terminators, the Librarian. There is a Terminator Captain, I think. And then there's also an Apothecary and a Blade Guard Ancient, or a Blade Guard and or Ancient. I don't remember exactly what his deal is. I'll look it up. But yeah, as far as our Blood Ravens go, basically left them last stream with the blood effects still drying on their chain swords, and so those dried, and let's see if we can get them in focus. I think they are pretty decent. They're not really, they're not going to blow anybody's mind. I don't think that what they're going for is kind of like the blood of, I just dragged this sword across a hapless orc abdomen and am now swinging it into the next one. It's more of a, I just walked into this secret underground lab and the floor is soaked in something. So I think that what I'll do is one more coat with it. But I don't want to get too crazy just in the experimental stages here. So, that's basically what I've blocked out there, and I think that really that's all there is for it, is just to get in to these guys. I think the main task is going to be finishing up these emblems. And so this guy, pulling him up, his is in pretty decent shape as far as things that are vaguely bird-shaped go. So probably won't start with him. There are a couple much rougher ones, like this guy. Oh, it's the Sarge. So yeah, his is much more work in progress. So let's start with that. I feel like I need to move some of these things around. So I might just do that first. Desk organization is not my strong suit, especially since I keep finding excuses to get new things to put on the desk. So we can just soak up that little puddle of water. Feel like that'll be a little bit more useful there. So I think what we want to do is start with bone white. Load that up. Pull it off. And then we'll go in. And block out some shape. That's fine. see, who's the next ugliest? Load up that brush. Dab some off. Oh, baby girl, what's up? Somebody having the nerve to exist in their own front yard? Uh-oh, mommy wants to distract you. What will you do? What will you do, Pepperdoodle? Tell you what, I will not be doing this with the salamanders. Though, of course, I cannot improve the free hand if I don't ever do it. Pup. Now, pup, you cannot sit there and bark, okay? You made your point. I'm sure that they understand. Yeah, I'm sure they got the message. Good girl. Alright, and then while that's going, slap some more of this blood on there. Don't want that to... Although I guess the wet pallette's been doing a pretty good job of keeping stuff fresh. All of this paint that I got on there is from last session, so... Just gonna, I think what I'm gonna do is kind of try to make the concentration kind of high up towards the tops of the blades, you know, as if they're ramming them into people. It occurred to me after I had done this, launched this little effects experiment, that since these guys are supposedly in a war zone fighting Necrons, there really shouldn't be blood on their weapons, but you know, they're not always going to be doing that. There's no reason to paint them up to fit into one single scenario. It pools weirdly, this stuff. It makes it kind of challenging to draw it to where it's supposed to be. I'm also not really bothering with the undersides of the swords too much, since they're basically out of sight. This is partially, me getting back into the hobby, and I'm trying to get reacquainted and improve and all that. But I also don't want it to be an exhaustive, time-consuming project. And I got a whole bunch of models from a bunch of different armies. I don't want to paint them all. So it's also finding the balance between visually nice quality and speed. And I think to that end, some details are just going to be a little left out. And that's okay. Honestly, the blood effect looks, it looks decent when it's dry, but while it's wet, it looks really good. And I think if it was combined with some other effects, people will do the kind of the viscera effects with glue and stuff. I think combined with some stuff like that, it would probably be pretty mind-blowing. So maybe on future models, I'll get to some of that. Especially with the Tyranids, I do. By the time I get to them, I want to be doing some more interesting things with effects and glowing and all that. So we'll see. Yeah. So that's a second coating of blood on everybody's swords. Let's see. Go back in here, load up some bone white. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Okay, let's see. Part of the trick here is I want to achieve some little feather points on these wings, and it's just really hard to do in such a small area. Take Looks like I kind of just washed off half of that wing. That was on purpose. I think I'm going to try and build back out of that with the brown. But I don't know exactly how long I'm going to fidget with these wings before I decide to just go for the black. That is rough. There's the Sarge. The Sarge is already in a much better place. This guy's. These two, probably the best ones right now. This one, do some work on. Alright, pup. Midna. You told him. They heard you. Hey, you're gonna have to stop. Hey. Alright. Momentary pause here. Alright, Minna needed to go hang out with her mom. Getting a little too excited at the squirrels outside. So. Yeah. Alright. Ooh, on a second pass, this blood start to look kind of gnarly. Starting to look a little bit brutal. We like it. Alright, so what I'm finding challenging, I think, most of all is just keeping little spaces fine and pointed, and I could probably get a more precise result with the other brush that I was using for their eyes, but I feel like it's possible to get the result that I'm going for with this brush, and keep the keep the brush switching to a minimum. This is coming off in like drops and not... And I'm sure part of that's because I haven't offloaded enough off the brush. I'm still learning the language of the brushes here. That one's improved. I absolutely will use the smaller brush when it comes time to go over these in black. I'll pull out the fine brush, and hopefully what will happen is some of the brown, like I'll be able to be precise enough that some of the brown will still kind of show at the edges, and it'll give the emblem kind of a natural weathering, a little bit of a feeling of agedness, and kind of a shade underneath, even though it's a different color. We'll have to see. Last touch up of these base symbols, and then I'm gonna go into the black. Then we'll do their eyes, and we will call it for the Space Marines of Squad Aurora. When I did get to basing on, or priming rather, on the salamanders, the Infernus squad, I also took the chance to do some of that zenithal highlighting, where I sprayed them really just from one angle with a lighter color to sort of set up the light source, which will, hopefully be the flames. So we'll see how that turns out. What did I just load on this brush? Alright, that's what it is. I don't have the black already on the palette though, so let me grab that. Let's see, that's gray. Here we go. My mic is falling. Alright. Squeeze black out. And some water to thin it. And where is my, here we go, mixer. Alright. So the brush that was super amazing when it came time to doing the eyes, that was this 3-0. Because I do things the hard way, I'm gonna try it first with the eyeliner brush. I think that's what this is supposed to be. Which is supposed to be, a fine tip brush, and that's what I have used historically for fine detail work. it's just got a slightly easier grip, so this is like the line between painting and sketching. Like, there's so little paint on the brush that pulling it across is like, it's like using a pencil, making just a small mark. Kind of working. I think it really comes down here to having a minimal amount of paint on the brush, so it doesn't have a lot of options of where to go besides where I put it. Can't just be flowing into new spaces. Still looks mostly like a child's drawing, but it will serve our purposes. hard time imagining that the blood drop is going to stand out, though, in such a small area. It's easy to see on a, an emblem online. On a big sheet, we've got plenty of color information to process, but in a little tiny space like this, there's going to be very little contrast between the black and the red. This one has different proportions, and that's okay. Not all birds are the same. Every raven's a little different. Maybe it's because he's the Sarge. Look at that. When they're blurry over there, you can't even tell that they're not done. You're like, hey, look, those are some full-fledged blood angels over there. And really, at tabletop distance, it looks very respectable to me. I'm very curious, as I already said, about how this blood drop is going to turn out when I get to that, but just this step up to the black is making a big difference already. And I will do my best to keep the shoulder pads in frame and not obscured by my thumb, but no promises. Oof. Just reducing it to pen-like strokes is really the ticket here. So letting me kind of overwrite some of the mistakes that I made with the brown. Not completely, but... Bro, get all the way on your base. Not quite as smooth there. The heads are much better. I'm definitely liking how the heads are coming out, because while I was working on them in the brown, they were looking really bulbous. Just bulbous old bird heads with beaks that look like not ravens, I'll tell you that much. press my finger on this guy's, on the purity seal on his boot, and it is very pointy. In a most unpleasant way. look like black birds. And that's what we want. That is what we're going for. Now, I don't have a lot of red paint, other than the scarlet that I use for the armor. I've got one that's, I think it's actually named purple something, but it's very pinkish. Yeah, this is Warlord Purple. And then I've got bloody red here, which may or may not be very orange. It looks, to me in the bottle, it looks pretty orange. But it's bloody red. So we'll see. That's what I'm going to start off with. Well, it's not what I'm going to start off with. First, I'm going to try to do a white base to put the red over so that it has something to stand out against. Hopefully it will be a very simple operation. Just teeny tiny teardrop shape of white. One coat, maybe two. And then red over top. Back to the first in line. I'm going to reorder them so that Sergeant Soluk comes first, and then we'll put our first test brother at the back of the line. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Let's see. Yeah. So the way it's depicted, you know, it's just a generic little blood drop shape. Kind of starts in right at the base of the raven head and descends down into the tail space. Like that. So I think these are probably gonna end up being a little small. Just because There's not a whole lot of space down in the tail area of all of them, but some of them have a little bit more room, so I mean, ideally they'll all look pretty similar, about the same size. Oh no. Just blasted some white paint onto his backpack there. I'll have to fix that. See, that's, so I gotta move the camera because I need to be working in the comfort area, and that is over here. That will be a lesson I probably have to keep learning. I feel like in the future I'm gonna just try to spring for some custom transfers for whatever faction I'm working with. I don't mind it so much with these guys because I'm working it with small groups. You know, we've got, for the Blood Ravens, we've got these assault intercessors. I'll probably do like maybe the bunch that I might do as a Blood Raven, and then I think I'm gonna make the Dreadnought a Blood Raven. So not a lot of models to have to freehand on. I'm probably only going to end up doing the Outriders in that scheme, so that's only 3 models. Salamanders already have transfers somewhere. I don't know if I have any, but they exist, so I can get them if at some point I decide to go back and be thorough like that, which I probably will. But going forward, yeah, transfers are the way to go. I will look for opportunities to practice freehand on hopefully larger subjects, but also flatter subjects. This curved surface is rough. Fortunately, though, this drop is really easy, so glad for that. I mean, it's a pretty simple geometric shape, so shouldn't be too surprising, but still a relief. after the many layers and fixes of raven shapes. Come on. Okay. I think that's probably good for the white there. So let's get some of this red on the palette and see how this mixes up. Does look a little redder out of the pot, and I imagine that will improve again once it dries. So, feeling better about that. Maybe while I've got this black paint out, I'll try and do some little script marks on the purity seals. Now, if I was truly a madman, I would come back and try to paint like a little white shine mark on these blood drops, but I am not crazy like that. Alright, goes into the shape nice and easy. It is, I don't know, it's red, but it's bright. So, we'll see how I feel about it once it dries. Part of me is kind of feeling like I should have just done the armor red, but yeah, we'll see how it looks once it dries, and can always go over it with the darker red. Won't be a challenge. Come here, buddy. rest of them. That's going to be this green glaze that I've got. Love that this has the little metal shaker ball by default. I didn't have to add that. That is, oh dear, it's a coming. Apparently this does not like to be shaken. This is a glaze, so I'm guessing it probably doesn't need much in the way of thinning, and I don't know that it will benefit at all from being on a wet palette, but that's where I'm going to put it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and use the liner brush again because I'm going to be filling in the whole eye space, and it's okay for the glaze to run into the recesses here. This guy got some white on his backpack too. Gonna have to come back and fix that. Okay, but yeah, the green working immediately over the white base that we already had for the eyes. This is the one face where I didn't use that liner brush, so the eyes are a lot bigger. Look too derpy. basically covers everything for the blood ravens as far as, I mean, I'd say they've been tabletop ready, but now they're really done. The detail I think that I would like to, I know I want to eventually get to painting on Space Marines is the backpack vents. Make those kind of glowing. I don't know if I'm going to do that with these guys though. So what I'm going to do is try to come in here and do some teeny tiny script here. So tiny, but actually kind of thick. That's okay though. I might also go ahead and use some of this red that we've got on the palette right now to do a little highlight on the purity seals, so that hopefully they'll be a little bit more distinct from the armor. They can kind of get lost. Where's your purity seal backpack? I think I bent his purity seal out of shape when I was assembling him, but it kind of works. Looks like it's in motion. So, not the worst mistake. Some of this bloody red, quote unquote. What I have on the brush is just too watered down, or if it's really close enough of a color that it's not showing up. No, I think it's too watery. pick out one or two edges. And then a little dab in the middle. For the most part, the shade did a decent job of separating the seal from the armor, but ultimately those are still the same color, so they'll disappear if they don't have any attention at all. Alright, so that is really Squad Aurora done. Just a quick pan through here. That was our first guy. All the way over here to the sergeant. I'm lifting it up, I guess, because I'm going to be standing right here in this space. Actually, while I've got the sergeant here, I have remembered is in fact not done. We gotta do this glow on these plasma foils. That will be, an intermediate task. I'm not gonna focus on it right now, but I can at least make sure that the groundwork is already done. Alright. So that's them. Ah, wow. A whole squad. It's been a long time since I've finished a whole squad of something. I wonder if there's room on this palette to start busting down the salamander colors. Grab a couple of them. Some likely candidates. Let's see. Okay, so this is the guy that I'm gonna do for sure. So, yesterday, before I went to bed, I did these. This was one of the Marines that wasn't primed yet, so he's all primed with the black primer. But then I also tried out the Zenithal which in this case, because he's, you know, a Infernus Marine and he's launching gouts of bright light in the form of fire, I just assumed that the brightness would come from straight on from the front here and would be pretty bright, so blasted the front of him with I don't think this is actually a white primer. Yeah, this is marked as gray. That's what I used. I'm pretty sure that's what I used. But it looks pretty white. So I don't know if I'm gonna dip my toes into this right now, because I don't know how confident I am in my object source lighting, but I'm gonna have to get there. You know, I'm gonna have to get confident. But I know for sure in the meantime we've got this fellow who is throwing a grenade and not lighting anything up, so that makes him an ideal starting point. I think that one of the things that might help here is maybe a dry brush. It's been a long time since I've done that, but I do have a dry brush. I don't have a dedicated like sponge or anything to pull the excess paint / moisture off on, but I've got plenty of paper towels, so I think I'm gonna try to do a dry brush on this guy, but I'm gonna use a different gray. Got cold gray here. This I believe was one of the main colors in my Tau army, if I remember right. And will hopefully be darker than what's on this other guy. And then I will try to do a really light pass, so hopefully it's not going to come across nearly as bright as the other guy with the flamer already lit. So let's see here. Trying to decide where to put the regular palette. I don't know that there's any point in I don't know if you're supposed to thin dry brushing paint. I know you shouldn't put dry brushing paint on a wet palette. But I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. I mean, that did not thin very much anyway. Alright, so this is a new dry brush. I just got it. My only other dry brush are these, I got these super cheap, like $2 Crayola brushes a long time ago. And they did the job at the time for, you know, the lighter stuff. Howdy. Hi, princess. Hey. That was so close, puppy. You be careful. she will yeet those toys around, and she just about needed that heavy rubber thing right into the box of minis, which would have been a disaster. So, the brush is supposed to be really nice. Most of the moisture off, and then some of the paint. Most of the paint off. The thing I don't like, at least, well, the part of the dry brush process that annoys me is this getting the paint off, because I use up so much surface area, which I don't think would happen if I had one of those delicate sponges for this. Okay, so hopefully I got enough of the paint off. But we're about to find out. So I'm just going to go down in. Okay, so that's doing like a mega highlight, like the finest of lines, the highest of areas. It's a little bit more highlighted than I was going for. I'm trying to actually lighten some of these surfaces. Okay, so that's doing it. Bumping the camera. Yeah, it's kind of getting where we want. I'm supposed to like try to wash out the paint afterwards. Because there's so much of it. But I feel like dry brushes are supposed to be pretty indestructible. So I think it'll probably turn out okay. Now I do have a lot of greens because I had a Dungeons and Dragons NPC that was a goblin that needed to get painted. So that demanded a lot of greens. The question is whether they will turn out to be good salamander greens. This first one, which is just dark green, looks very dark angel-y to me. But I think it'll work fine as a base coat. This is one of the paints that I haven't used in probably 2 years, so I don't even know if it can be resuscitated. It's moving around in there. Oh yeah, I bet this will work fine. Alright, let's go ahead and put some on the palette, see if it comes out. Before I get too crazy squeezing on it, try to clear up the nozzle here a little bit. Alright, just a little dollop. Dark green. Thin it down. Oh, that explains why that was mixing weirdly. This is not the mixer that I usually use. We still did the job though. Alright, so we're going to go back to the one. This is kind of thin actually. For now. once a coat or two of this dries, it will be a decently vibrant color. Not the kind of muted look that the Dark Angels have, which was my concern. But we'll have to wait until it actually does dry to be sure. I feel like part of the difference is really the undercoat, and there's going to be a pretty stark difference between the black and just this level of gray that I dry brushed on here. That's the vibe I'm getting, we'll see. Suppose anything is possible. Definitely did not give myself enough paint to work with. Honestly, I could just be leaving these shoulder pads alone since they will be black. Pretty sure the salamanders, regular troopers, regular marines have black shoulder pads. So I'll try to leave it alone. I'm gonna have to stop and top up this paint because I definitely did not get enough. I mean, I didn't want to get too much in case it was a bad color. Okay, where'd I put it? There it is. Another dollop, two. Seal it up. This will probably work well for the base coat, but I'll definitely need a lighter green for highlights. Which is to say, I will absolutely need to highlight this armor. I'm pretty comfortable leaving the blood ravens the way they are. I think they've got kind of a sort of a grim and dark already vibe. But for these guys, I don't think it'll be clear enough who they are if they don't have any highlights. Plus, they'll be more illuminated by default since they're all blasting away with flamethrowers. Although, I guess the flamethrowers will effectively give them more of a yellow coloring, flame coloring than green, but it'll be highlighted either way. Black, this green is really just kind of disappearing. Oh, that is the idea behind multiple coats, so I'm not going to be too worried about it just yet. try to do the grenade in a completely different color. Obviously not going to do green, but black might not be much to look at either. Maybe red. That's, you know, sufficiently dangerous looking without being cartoony. And it's an incendiary grenade. Nope. Still got the front of this leg. I think that's the last part now. The first coat. Very light on the camera compared to how I see it. Yeah, the dry brush did do some work there, kind of setting up some instant highlights and shadows, which is what we wanted. I think another base coat of gray, or at the very least that strong gray dry brush is going to be necessary for these, because otherwise it's going to take a million coats of green, I think, to build up any meaningful color. Because on the flat black areas, it's going real slow. And granted, the first coat is probably still kind of fresh. And I ought to let it breathe a little bit. Let it dry. Oh, back on their stroll. Hear those click-clacky paws. My bad. Get the rest of the edges on this pad here. Interestingly, I don't know if this is because of the undercoat or the pigment, but it really seems to be kind of concentrating in the crevices, and those little spots are that on. But I also did some purple that I had pinned down in there. Problem is, I don't remember which of these that I have that I used. But that's okay, because I know I'm not going to be using them again. I got a new paint, a fluorescent purple, and so that is going to be the new go-to for this glow. I'm going back and putting some more white just kind of on the central areas where I've already put some purple. So that's still in there is kind of like a deep recess color. And then now we will now we'll hit it with the fluorescent and see how that takes. This detail that they've done with the new Necron warriors, where they've got their kind of wire guts hanging out and stuff, but that is not fun to get in there to paint. Which, you know, maybe that's not as big a deal on the regular ones. Maybe you can easily do like an arm and body sub-assembly separate. Not so much so with the starter set models, because they're all push fit. So the fluorescent, it's acrylic paint. I'm assuming that it will need to be watered down. I don't know exactly how right to expect it to be. Oh, it's got a nice little seal on it. I hope it doesn't explode. Ooh, okay, that's fine. Full alien blood just sprayed all over me. Not because it exploded though, that didn't happen, so don't worry about that. If you're wondering if you should get fluorescence from, who's this? Pro M? Is that the company? Monument Hobbies. Oh. So there's the regular cap, or the main cap, which screws off rather than Well, with the Vallejo paints, if you want to put like a shaking ball inside of it, you have to like pop out the little spigot. But this one screws off, and then it's got an actual dispenser tip that, oh, it does not screw off, it just screws open. I don't know how I feel about that. Got a little paint out there. Thin it down with my mixer. Alright, let's see if, no! Travis, you fool. I'm gonna be covered in paint by the end of this session. Which should probably wrap up before too long here. Okay, so I need to fucking reverse this so I don't stick my arm in it a second time. Alright, background dude. Load up some fluorescent here. And go straight into recesses. That's pretty decent. It is reading as purple mostly, not coming across too pink. here. And then I think that I'll just do a nice dunk on these weapon coils. Some white for some added brightness / depth. But yeah, I'd say that's pulling off a decent glow. On the salamander before we call it. So again, that's more dry. I should say more washed out than it looks in real life. I'd say, but it is definitely very dark in this almost dark angel's sense. So we're gonna have to lighten it up, but it hasn't completely disappeared on the black surfaces, so that gives me hope that maybe with just 1 or 2 more coats, although I think really what it should be is 1 more coat here of dark green, and then from there launch into a lighter green instead of continuing to try to build up this dark green, since ultimately the salamanders are not dark green. Base and for shadows, but we don't want the whole mini to be like this. I actually used to have some firstborn marines that were in this color. Probably not this exact color, because at the time I think I pretty much only used Games Workshop paints. But homebrew Iron Hand successor that was a green like this. Basilisk chapter. That reminds me that I haven't done any story today. I did prepare some, however it's not like backstory, it's actual narrative, and I'm hesitant to share it because it you know, it's the kind of thing where if you're reading a book, your mind is filling in things like character voices and accents, tones, and that kind of thing. Unless it's, you know, an audiobook, in which case the person who's doing that for you is a professional. And I am not that. so if I were to just read it, I wouldn't be able to provide that sort of immersive edition. I think I will, you know, because I wrote it, and it'll be kind of, I'm not going to try to be flat and boring, but I'm also not going to embarrass myself trying to make my voice sound like a space marine. If I really had time, I would like try to record it and do some mixing and editing to put the right type of voice in the right place, but I'm not going to be able to do that on a regular basis. I'm confident I can figure it out, but I haven't ever done it before, and so just the process of getting it going in the first place would be really long and involved, and it's really an accompaniment for this part of the hobby, which is what I am trying to motivate myself to continue doing on a regular basis, and so I don't want to burn myself out doing something crazy or difficult that's really kind of tangential, you know, just a little side story that for the most part I do for me, because I find it fun. I don't know that anybody else is into that stuff. Ooh, his underarm really got away. It's okay, nobody's looking at his underarm, right? This paint is running dry. Dog noises. But yeah, once I finish this guy here, once I finish this second coat, I will pull it up, and read it for you. It is mercifully short, so won't take long. Minimal chance of suffering for me or you. It's funny, blue is really my favorite color, but I don't really care for blue space marines. I think the ultramarines have kind of spoiled that a little bit just by being so poster boyish. Some of them are okay, you know. And they don't look bad by any means. They're just kind of overdone. Night Lords, they're alright. But green, despite not being my favorite color, or really even close to it, love that for Space Marines. Love the Salamanders, probably my favorite of the official chapters. think we've gotten it all. Lucky, this will come across as some natural light and dark areas, but probably not, because the dry brush is not a proper zenithal highlight or anything. It's not really, it's just kind of putting brightness on all the top edges and not the places where the light actually would be hitting. So, it can only do so much. But, it's a good start, and some of the kind of natural shading is still showing through, so that's good. I'm not sure what this is going to mean for the salamanders that I did do the highlight on already. I mean, this guy's not even done with his base coat, so. But done with the dark green. Seems like we're counting on at least 2 layers there. And then I've got this model color light green. Hopefully this will kind of be the top layer, and that will kind of finish the base coat. Got this goblin green, and I'm worried that that's going to end up being a little too skin colory, but a little experimentation might be necessary to see what looks best. Alright, so this might be a little bit of a hassle to pull up, because I still have not had a chance to replace my wireless keyboard. Replacements in the mail, so we'll see if I can get this going without needing the keyboard. Alright, and now hopefully the music is also paused, because that's what this I don't know what they call it. This scene is supposed to be just the laptop camera and the mic. Okay. I talked a bunch again, so hopefully my voice will not do anything weird. Yeah, so this doesn't have any kind of title associated with it. but the context that is relevant is that this is basically the arrival of Squad Aurora into the sector, the subsector, the region of space where this conflict is taking place. So they're not. This is before arriving at Martyr's Hold, where they link up with the other Space Marines. And so once I've had a chance to develop it a little bit, it'll be focused on kind of their characters, the Squad Aurora, but also on the Necron motivations for being in this area. So, without further ado, amid the howl of vectored engines and scattered dust and rock, a single squad of crimson-armored Astartes dropped from the belly of their Stormraven transport to the craggy surface of a barren world. The horizon was dotted by spire-like plumes of acrid smoke. Not long ago, this world had known a fruitful life in the fold of the Imperium. But now, its great hive cities lay in ruin, the ash of their destruction climbing well into the stratosphere. The very rock they stood on bore the signs of the scouring, pitted, charred, even reduced to glass in places, from the power of the weapons that had been turned on the world and the populace. But the Astartes come to find the world not teeming with industry or screaming in the throes of war and terror. Now it is eerily still and silent. It is an atmosphere that one of them knows well. Sergeant Solek signals the Stormraven back into the air and surveys the terrain towards their objective, a short sniff issuing through his box. He has been in one other place as ominously still as this one, deep beneath the crust of the planet Cronus. He unconsciously works the mechanical fingers of his right hand at the memory. But, seeing only blasted rock and dirt in their path, he sets forth, issuing a curt command. Form up. Move out. And that's what we've got right now. So, now that the actual Squad Aurora models are basically done, I don't know at what pace I'll keep working on this, because kind of my conceit for the whole thing is I will share story related to the models that are being worked on. But at the same time, as I think I mentioned, I'm not as excited about the idea of just making stuff up for existing chapters like the salamanders. So it may be that I don't really spend time giving them background, and I'll just kind of continue this with the focus on Squad Aurora until we get to the homebrews, because they're mine, and I like talking about them. So we'll see, we'll see when we get there. But that's all for today. Thanks for checking it out. Hope it was enjoyable, and look forward to sharing more next time. Have a good one.